Hey, do you know what time it is? That's right. It's time for Coach Lindy's podcast. The podcast to get you moving. Hi, I'm Lindy Hutchinson, a certified life mastery consultant with the Brave Thinking Institute. As a life coach, I help others transform their life as I have mine. It's not easy, but it is possible, and it most certainly is worth it. Each week, I'll share insights that inform, inspire, and ignite in you your desire to create a life that you love. So let's find out what's going on this week. Well, our last episode, we talked about Mr. Honda and the incredible story of resilience and that undying spirit to keep going. Hi, it's Coach Lindy. Welcome to the podcast. I love to talk about people who have tackled disheartening, discouraging, really tough, terrible circumstances. They've risen above and they win. So today we're going to talk about a young man. I don't know if you can see him. For those of you who are watching the video, Mr. Richard Norris Williams II. He is a man, was a man of great endurance. And his story to me is incredibly inspirational, and I hope it is for you. This week, based on his story, our power word is rebound, the ability to bounce back, or the quality of bouncing back. Mr. Richard Dick Norris Williams II was born in 1891, and he passed in June 1968. He was known as a tennis player, and oh yeah, he survived the sinking of the Titanic. All those little things. His life was pretty amazing, at least I'm thinking so, and I hope you do too. So he was born into privilege. Williams was born in Geneva, Switzerland. He was a direct descendant of Ben Franklin and Lydia Biddle White. He went to a private school in Switzerland, a boarding school, where he learned, besides speaking English, he learned French and German, which he was fluent in. And he started playing tennis. And if you read this, I'm going to just, as always, just kind of hit the highlights. He ended up being one of the greatest championship tennis players of his time. But there's a little interesting sidebar to this, is that when he was 21 years old, he took a trip on a very beautiful ocean liner called the Titanic. He and his dad had a first class accommodations on the liner, and of course we know it hit an iceberg. In fact, James Cameron's film Titanic in 1997 uses a couple pieces, true events in Mr. Williams' life. He incorporated that into his movie. And one of those scenes was when the ship was sinking. It was actually Williams in real life who took an axe off the wall because he could hear people on the other side. And he actually chopped the door open and released the people. And kind of comical when people are under stress and not thinking. A steward happened to go by and tell him that he was going to be fined for damaging property on the White Star Line. And of course, in a couple hours, it was sitting at the bottom of the ocean. So I don't think that was like anything anyone really was going to worry too much about. But he and his dad jumped into the water as the Titanic continued to sink. And another part of if you happen to see the movie, if you haven't seen the Titanic, James Cameron's 1997, please watch it. And if it's been a while, you might want to watch it again. Amazing movie, did a great job. And unlike many directors, movie makers before James Cameron, they kind of embellished, they didn't really stick, but James Cameron insisted on getting as close and as factual in his movies. So that way you can kind of get a clearer picture of what really happened. But one of the scenes was where the funnels or the smokestacks actually, of course, the whole ship is sinking and everything's breaking and falling apart, but the funnel falls down and of course it kills people that it falls on. In real life, our featured person, Mr. Williams, his dad in the water, and it fell down. It just missed him, but sadly it killed his dad instantly. Now, he was fortunate because he was able to make his way over to a partially floating, semi-submerged, collapsible boat. So he hung on to the boat, and eventually the Carpathia came and rescued everybody. I thought this was a little interesting sidebar. After Mr. Williams and his dad jumped into the water, he was wearing a fur coat. It was freezing out. And if you're not in the water, a nice thick fur coat would be great. But once you're in the water, you don't want that thing on. And of course, he peeled it off. And somehow, after a month after this horrible tragedy, his fur coat was returned to him. The Carpathia found it on the floating debris, and they returned his coat to him. It's a little interesting thing. Well, the doctor on the Carpathia recommended amputation of his legs because of the severe frostbite that he had. He adamantly said, no, we're not doing that. And in spite of freezing and being in horrible shape, he used to walk around every 2 hours. And wouldn't you know it, a year after that horrible tragedy and having horrible frostbite, he won the U.S. Tennis Championships in mixed doubles, including the Davis Cup with another survivor, Carl Bear. When you know, people, amazing. So, Mr. Williams not only survived a horrible disaster, the Titanic, but he refused to have his legs amputated, and he disciplined himself and rehabilitated himself, and ends up winning a year later in tennis. Then, wait, there's more. Then, in World War I, he was in the Army. He served in the Army, and he won 2 awards. And after that, he went back and started playing tennis again. Is there nothing this man can do? And then he ended up becoming a noted Philadelphia investment banker. Wow. What did he do in his spare time, right? He did pass away at the age 77. It says emphysema. I'm assuming he probably was a smoker. And that was in 1968. So if you have time, I would strongly encourage you to look up Richard Norris Williams II and be inspired. There's a lot of details of his life, but even though he was he's a nice looking man, who was born into privilege and had pretty much sound like kind of everything, he dealt with disaster. His dad died in the terrible accident, and he barely survived. He went to war, served in the Army, and then he kept playing tennis, won awards, a gold medal. So our takeaway is, no matter what happens, there's going to be good times and bad times. Hopefully we'll never have anything like the Titanic to deal with. But remember people like Richard, Mr. Williams. He had a lot going for him, but he also took some lumps, and he kept going. So that is our lesson today. We keep going. And we can win awards, we can rise above, and we can be spectacular. So from the Hey That's Funny file, And our power word of the week was rebound. Phyllis Diller, one of my favorite comics, the late great Phyllis Diller. If you don't know who she is, please look her up. She said, "My body is in such bad shape, I wear prescription underwear." Bad, very bad. All right, my friend, I always enjoy our time together. It's always a privilege and a pleasure to be with you. So, keep creating a life that you love and keep being the very best that you can be because you deserve it. Until I see you next week, take care. Bye-bye. Hey, thanks for joining me this week. I look forward to being with you every week. And if you'd like to get in touch with me, please email me at coachlindy@lindyhutchinson.com. My name is spelled L-Y-N-D-I, so it's Coach Lindy, L-Y-N-D-I, at Lindy Hutchinson, LYNDIHUTCHINSON.com. I value what your input is, and I'm always open up for suggestions and ideas. If you will like and or subscribe to this podcast, that would be wonderful. I appreciate it. And I enjoy anything that you might want to send in, or if you would like some more information about coaching, send me an email and I will get back with you, and we'll talk about how you can create your best life. Have a good week. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.